Well, Coach, if I could stop you there for 1 sec, you became a mini celebrity last year. I hope you know this in The Last Dance with the Michael Jordan 10-part documentary. I just want to read the quote that you gave so everybody knows you've been given credit for the Jordan rules. I think you simplified it a bit, but I think it was a key to them winning those 2 back-to-back titles. And here's your quote from episode 3 of The Last Dance. On the wings, we are going to push him to the elbow, and we're not going to let him drive to the baseline. Number 2, when he's on top, we're going to influence him to his left. When he got the ball in the low post, we were going to trap him from the top. That's the Jordan rules, and it was that simple. And then when the guy asked you, well, what happened when Jordan went baseline, you said the following, quote, that's when Lambeer and Mahorn would go up and knock him to the ground, close quote. So I think that's, on the one hand, the summary of the Jordan rules, which were so important, but on the other hand, kind of your approach to the game. Here's how we're going to do it. Here's what we're going to do. And if it goes this way, we got plan B. But tell us a little about that, because that must have been a pretty good experience. That was just on TV last year in 2020.
Yeah. I had a history with Michael. I coached him at 5-star. He was a high school coach coming out of Wilmington, North Carolina. And he was better. The first time I saw him, the way he moves, his fluid motion going to the basket. And, you know, sometimes when you see a great athlete, then you stand out. And he was like that. And one thing that he didn't have, and he always had that tremendous competitive spirit when he played. And that's what differentiates him from a lot of the guys who's better than Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Kobe Bryant and all that. But the one thing that separates Michael from his athletic ability is his tremendous competitive drive. And so we've always had a kind of a relationship with him. As a matter of fact, when I was coaching up in Toronto, we finally beat him. But that year, Michael Jordan's team, they won 72 games. And I was coaching the first year up in Toronto with an expansion team. We beat them. And one of the 8 games that they lost. And I was kneeling down in front of my bench, and Michael was right there. And I said, Michael, don't you ever miss? Because he was nailing every shot. And he says, Brendan, you know better than that. And but he finally did miss. He missed at the end of the game when we beat them. And it was like when I played coached up in Toronto, it was a novelty. I had to give a clinic to all the press because and explaining the NBA rules because they didn't know them. And they knew offside, nice in the puck and all that, but they didn't know anything about basketball. And one time I was sitting in the stands before a game, and Frank came up and says, I didn't realize how fast the game was. But we drew like almost 35,000 fans because of that dome. And so after we beat them in that game, I was walking down the streets to an Italian restaurant called La Grappa. And the people, they was dancing in the streets. I'm not exaggerating. Everybody was like pumped up that we beat the Chicago Bulls. But I'm going all over and meandering about my career. But Toronto, I was the first coach of the Toronto Raptors. But I